Welcome to An Apple a Day, a podcast, a resource, a community. Share your experiences and learn from others as we overcome barriers and learn to live a happy, healthy life with a disability. Welcome to the community. Here's your host, Jimmy Apple.
Welcome to another episode of An Apple a Day. I'm your host, Jimmy Apple. How you feeling today, my friends? You feeling good? You feeling strong? You feeling better than you did yesterday? Excellent. You can't ask for better than that. Hey, I want to remind you, An Apple a Day is brought to you by www.famousapple.com. Famousapple.com is the home site for this podcast. So if you get a minute, check it out. And while you're tripping around the web, make sure to check out famousapple.com/group. That's the Facebook page for this podcast. It's called Living with a Disability. That's right. You go over there, there's people chatting, people talking, people answering questions, people asking questions, people having a couple of laughs. So go over there, check it out, join the group. I'll have some fun. Meanwhile, while you're tripping around the web, make sure you stop by famousapple.com/that vegan disabled gal. That's Erin Fernandez's page. And people over there, they're having some fun, they're chatting, they're giggling, they're talking, they're sharing recipes, they're talking about being vegan, a whole bunch of stuff going on. So we got you covered on the web. You have no place else to go but our websites. So make sure you check them out. We have got a good one for you today. Now, if you've been on Erin's page, even on the Living with a Disability page, because Erin posts there too, you've certainly heard of Arthur's Acres. And I'm sure you've heard of Tod Friedman. If you've talked to Erin ever, you've heard of Tod Friedman, trust me. Well, Tod Friedman is the owner, he's the founder, he's the director, he's the farmhand, he's the pig handler at Arthur's Acres. And today on the podcast, Erin is going to interview Tod Friedman. And if you listen to the teaser that we put out, you're going to find out why Tod wears a cheerleader's uniform. Sometimes at night, sometimes during the day, sometimes night and day. You're going to want to find out. So I'm not going to hold you up here, because this is a great interview. Tod is a great guy. So sit back, relax, and I'm going to hand the mic over to Erin, and she's going to take care of this. You're going to really enjoy this interview. A lot of information. You're going to enjoy this. So sit back, relax, and let's go find Erin. Today with us, Tod Friedman from Arthur's Acres, an animal sanctuary in Parkland, New York. Erin, you ready to go?
I am ready to go. I have to say, I love you, Tod. I mean, you're kind of like my superhero. So.
Well, it's very sweet. Thank you.
Yeah. But I'm just gonna get right into it.
Go for it.
Why pigs? Why?
You know what?
Why
It's probably a question I get asked every day.
Yeah.
Not how I started, because that's pretty much public knowledge, where I was working in another sanctuary. I was volunteering there for 2 years. Then I worked there for 2 years. And then I just decided to, I think a lot of people's dream that worked at sanctuaries are to start your own or do your own thing. And I just really love pigs. And so I wanted to start something that was really focused on, unfortunately, the more animals and more pigs in need were special needs, and I see mistreatment a lot, and I just felt like it was really important to focus on one animal and one breed that needed the most. And I really, really just love pigs, and said, let me see what I could do. And there was a pig I really loved at Woodstock named Andy, and he was my inspiration to do this. And there was, when I was going through a hard time when I was volunteering, they rescued a bunch of piglets, and I spent a lot of time with them, and they helped me through my dog dying. And I was looking at some pictures. I get videos and pictures every day of other pigs that need homes like almost on a daily basis, if not multiple times a day. And, a friend was here and I'm like, look how cute this pig is. They're like, have you ever looked at a picture of a pig and not thought it was cute? I'm like, no, but it's so cute. So, I just really have this deep, deep love for them. And I just love them so much. It's just, I love them so much it hurts. It's just so much love there, and it's just great.
Yeah, that's amazing. And that will come to my other question, which Jimmy has even asked. What is the intelligence level of pigs? Because I know they're smart, and I've heard people say they're like 4-year-old children. Is that true, or is that you can look it up on places, but then biased, animal activists. So
there's a 4-year-old child. I mean, and we have a lot of enrichment here. We have music playing 24 hours a day. We have artwork up. It is as a 4-year-old child. So like we have Ren, who's an ISO, and it's going to be an ISO for possibly 6 weeks. So she's going to be in a stall by herself, and her companion comes in periodically during the day. But right now we're hooking up a video monitor in there too, so she's not terribly bored. So you just have to really, it's like this picture putting a 4-year-old child in a room with no stimulation.
Yeah.
So it's not very healthy. So we try to stimulate them as much as possible so that they don't, get if they get bored, they're destructive. Whenever I get calls about my pig is doing this, my pig is doing that, and it's like most 9 out of 10 times they're bored. They're not meant to be alone. They're pack animals, and they have a community and they have a hierarchy. So when people have one pig and the pig starts acting out, it's because they're lonely and bored.
Yes. Yeah.
So if they are lonely, as long as you're stimulating, but where a dog, I don't agree with people leaving them home when they go to work. I mean, you got to do what you want to do, and the dog is home 8 hours a day. Sometimes they're destructive, sometimes they're not. Can't. Very rarely can you do that with a pig, where you just stick them in a house 8 hours and come home 10 hours and expect there to be no damage. They're just so smart. They need stimulation.
Yes, they need constant. Like our dog Toby, he cannot be left alone. He will freak out and tear up the house, and that's not because stimulation. That's because he was abused and obviously beat and things like that. So he's so scared. So we never can leave him home alone. So we take him with us, or we have someone watching him all the time. So I totally can relate and understand. Obviously you're a vegan. So what made you first decide to go vegan? I'm kind of backtracking before. Obviously you became vegan before you started the sanctuary and things like that. So, but what inspired you to go vegan?
I was vegetarian for a bunch of years, for 4 years, and then like 8 years ago, I was like, okay, I'm going to go vegan. And really just my dogs, my connection with my dogs, and just there was really no reason not to. I mean, nothing should have to suffer for my existence, and I wanted to make that clear to myself and to make, I wanted to make sure that like I was on the same wavelength as my conscience, and I couldn't have a clear conscience why, mother cows were being raped and abused for me to have cheese.
Yes.
So it wasn't really that hard decision, and it wasn't really hard to do, because there's nothing that tastes better than an animal not suffering for me eating,
Yes. Yeah. I totally agree with that. And tell us a little bit about life on the sanctuary. Like, what is your daily routine? I know there's a lot of work that goes into it. So, but what is it like explain to our audience what it's like for you, you as volunteers.
It's funny because I this is another question that I get asked all the time, and it's so funny because we have our regularly scheduled daily routine, and most of the time it's me and Tod too.
Yeah. Todd too, yes.
And really, it's funny because people say a typical day. There's really not a typical day because there's so many moving parts that can go wrong, and animals getting sick and this, that, and the other thing. So, we have a typical day. I get up early, but, I get out of bed about 6:30, 6:45, get the dogs in the house, pigs fed, and the cats in the house, and then go down to the farm at 7 a.m. and feed the rest of the pigs, the chickens, the ducks, go inside, have a cup of coffee, have breakfast, and then you're just out all day doing treatments, whether hoof trimming, tusk trimming, cleaning, physical therapy. Like Ella Bean gets physical therapy now. Charles gets physical therapy now. So any animal here needs physical therapy or laser therapy. And then the maintenance, like building fences, fixing fences, whatever maintenance, we have 77 acres, about 20 acres of just plain pasture, 30 acres of pasture that we need to be mowed. So that takes several days. Just normal farm stuff that, but then the emergencies that come up that you have to deal with on a daily basis, which is a lot too. So there's no day that goes by that I'm not sure I'm not going to the hospital for some reason or another with an animal, and that's just because of what we do, and we take in special needs animals, so there's always stuff going wrong. So I never count out that I may be taking a 5-hour trip to Cornell.
Yes. Yeah. So all the animals are healthier now. Max just got home the other day. So all the animals are home and healthy, right?
30th to Cornell for a cast change and possibly a surgery. Penelope's going to Cornell with her on the 30th to get spayed. Ella Bean took her orthotics off. So I may be going to Cornell tomorrow morning. So that kind of stuff happens where, you just never know, something may pop up and you like that. Like she shouldn't have to go back to Cornell for another month or two. And now we're going back this week sometime.
Yeah. And I know another question you probably get asked is how many pigs do you have?
Right now we have 31, but
31.
that could change
Yes.
any second.
Yeah, anytime.
We're discussing, we have a pig in need in Chicago that possibly could take in a month or two when the new barn is finished. And then special needs pig came up yesterday that we may be considering if we can juggle some things around.
I know I want to tell our listeners, we're going to include the link to Arthur Sager's Tod's page and the show notes. And really, I highly encourage anyone to please go take a look at it. And it's really fun, and you learn a lot. And you know me, I'm all about education and awareness. And you will learn a ton about these animals, and you see they're individuals. They have a life. They have a soul. You see a person inside of them.
Well, that's really our mission, is to rescue, rehabilitate, and educate. And education is huge. We do tours every week with inner city kids. We do a lot of online education, educating people about how to feed your pigs, how to care for your pigs, but also people where their food comes from, where it doesn't come from the refrigerator. It doesn't come from the kitchen. It doesn't come from the restaurant. It comes from an animal suffering for you to have a burger or have a piece of chicken or something like that. So people are really surprised when I tell them, like, a lot of people don't even know a cow has to be pregnant to give milk. A lot of people don't know that everything they eat is a baby, whether it's a chicken or turkey or at 6 weeks old, or it's a pig at 6 months old, a cow at 2 years old. For beef, for veal, weeks old. A lamb is a baby lamb, is a baby sheep, like that kind of thing. When we educate people and talk about it, there's so many people that are surprised by those little facts. And I'm just trying to put, just thoughts in people's heads. So when they go and they sit down to have a meal, maybe they think twice about what they're eating.
Yeah, exactly. And that's exactly my whole goal, is to, just share education and awareness, because you don't know what you don't know, And again, a lot of people are very surprised as to learn the information. And so I think that's great that you are helping, because I'm sure some of the kids that come to your farm have never even seen a chicken or never even seen a pig in real life, so they have no concept. They have no concept. They just see a package of bacon,
Well, that's why I put a face to that stuff. I try to put a face to that stuff. And so it seems to have worked. I get messages on a daily basis that people have gone vegan because of the animals here, and me creating a story behind the animal and showing them the whole journey they've gone through. So they get attached to the animals like they're caring for them themselves. So it's really nice.
Yeah, like I have to sponsor, I do have my sponsorship for Brutus, and I love seeing pictures of him, and I feel like he's mine, so, I know he's not mine, but, he's my little dude.
You help pay his bills, but I don't understand how expensive it is to take care of some of these animals, Our monthly bills for vet care is around $10,000,
Oh, wow.
And we've gone up to $25,000 a month before. So,
and that's when you have to put on a pig costume and you raise money.
That's what, I don't mind embarrassing myself.
Yeah. Oh.
For the animals. When I have an animal and, we have to do treatment at Cornell, and, we meet with our vet team at Cornell. Unfortunately, it is always about money, and we never have to say no, so they're like, well, what do you want to do? And what they'll say is like, okay, this is what our first intervention would be. This is what our second would be, or we could do gold standard. I said, you know me, always gold standard. So Alabine was like, and it was funny because I have a really good relationship with the vets there. And the one vet, Dr. Malisi, called me at like 9 o'clock at night. And she's like, well, this is a situation with Alabine. She needs a shoulder transplant, and that would be gold standard. I'm like, okay, then don't discuss anything else. Yeah. She's like, but it's going to be, I said, I don't care. Like, I'll get the money. It was like $8,000. I'm like, okay. Like, I'll find, I'm going to embarrass myself somehow.
Yeah.
I have no problem doing that, so I'm going to raise some money. If I have to put on a cheerleading costume and, dance around, it happens. But you know what? The animals here are going to get the best medical care money can buy. And, and they got a chance,
Yeah. And that just shows a testament to yourself and to the fans of Arthur Sakers, the sponsors, the donors, because it's like they love you so much and they feel the passion, feel what you feel, because you do share your story. You do make it personal for them, each one, by sharing those updates and sharing the little videos of pigs. It's not just the video, it's the personal experience. And I know during quarantine, when everything was really locked down, this maybe about a year ago, you were the highlight of my day, and probably the highlight of many people's days is knowing that you were going to go on. I could see that to the world through,
Well, we were all really scared, and so what I did is the night they announced, quarantine, I most of the time I'm up here by myself, and I said, listen, I went live at 2 o'clock in the morning, and there was hundreds of people on because everybody couldn't sleep because they were freaking out. I said, listen, I'm going to go live every day until the end of quarantine. Little did I know it was, a year of quarantine, and I went live, I think, at minimum 5 days a week, but average about 6 days a week. And you know what? It was as much for me as it was for the followers of just saying, I've made a promise.
Yeah.
And in that promise, I'm going to educate people, and they're not even going to know it. I'm going to educate them because, when you see an animal a pig respond to their name, there's so many people that are dumbfounded by that. So when I call an animal a pig by its name and it turns its head, people are blown away.
Yeah. I remember that. It was Max that did it, right? Or I think all the pigs. I remember that video.
It's crazy. I mean, there's so many people that go vegan just at those moments.
Yeah.
So they're aha moments for people. There's like, oh my God, that was crazy. Like, and this is an animal I'm eating every day, senseless, because I'm going to get a bacon, egg, and cheese with my breakfast, and I didn't think it was coming from a pig like Max. I just thought it came from my refrigerator or Dunkin' Donuts or McDonald's, and it wasn't. There's no face behind the bacon. So I think the job is to put a face to that instant gratification. That minute on the lips is a lifetime of suffering,
Yes.
So that's my job.
Yes. And I know that you've said in the past that you go to Cornell obviously a lot. You maybe have a room there by now, but you said so much advancements have been made by you bringing the pigs to Cornell, because oftentimes someone will just put the pig down and not the research towards helping the individual. Because I know that you said something about
Ren with her injury. They really have never seen an injury like that, because 99.99% of the time, and I'd like to say 100% of the time because it's really true.
Yeah.
If a pig has a broken foot, they're just going to kill it. It's just meat, they'll just kill it early and they'll eat it. So it's very, and you're like, whoa, it's just a broken foot. They're like, and then there was, she had a CAT scan and x-rays, and it was a crush injury. So it's a complicated injury. But again, it's not something that they would see because, these people that are raising these animals for meat, if the pig starts limping, they shoot it.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, let's get vet care. Now this pig's going to make us money, and if it doesn't make us money, we have to kill it.
Yeah.
They're not in it for compassionate.
Yes, yeah. And then you said some advanced were made with Morty and Louis. So because I'm not sure who it was, but something was done for Morty, who helped Louis eventually. I'm not sure.
Well, both of them. Morty was the first pig to survive colitis at Cornell. They've only had 4 pigs with colitis, and he's the first to survive.
Wow.
And that's because we went and talked to a people doctor as well, compare notes. And so we just kind of looked and said what the best form of care would be. And then with Louis, we would never have thought to think of organ failure because the pig that's that obese couldn't walk. And Louis taught us to check, an organ function test with, if we just had Louis Charles at Cornell because he came to us and he couldn't really walk. And so that was like the first thing we did was an organ function test, and it was fine. And so now Louis taught us to check certain things on obese pigs.
Yes.
With that, we're able to save a lot more animals because we're able to identify things quicker.
Yes.
Like when Charles came to us, he struggled to walk, and Cornell was like, they were amazing because they found a skin tag between his toes that was causing him so much pain.
Oh.
And he still has some sort of musculoskeletal thing, but there's nothing on CAT scan, nothing on X-rays, and nothing that weight loss and muscle strengthening won't handle. But we took the complete pain away. He was a new pig when we picked him up. He walked great. He goes for walks every day now, and he's great.
Oh.
But, we do take in a lot of these obese pigs that have underlying issues that no one would think of.
Yes.
Well, he's fat. The reason he's not walking is he's fat. But why is that? Why is that? So there's always a why.
People, if they interested in rescuing a pig, saving a pig, what should they feed it? What should they not feed it?
Well, I mean, it's frustrating because, there's so much information online. I tell people that I'm happy to educate you on feeding your pig. I mean, depending on the size of the pig, depending on how active the pig, there's a scale. There's not just look at the bag, and you can't listen to breeders. There's no such thing as a reputable breeder.
Oh, gosh.
Breeders are the scum of the earth. Breeders there's no animal that should be bred anymore. We have too many animals. There's animals, there's dogs, pigs, and every other animal dying every day because people are breeding animals senselessly. So it's very frustrating. So, our potbellies get a half a cup of grain twice a day and some fruits and vegetables, and that's it. And their diet is based on their activity level. So if I see someone just sleeping all day, they're going to get less food and they're not going to get any treats. But if someone's out and about and losing weight, I add to their diet. But my potbellies during the winter or summer get a half a cup twice a day because they're out grazing, and then it gets raised a cup twice a day in the winter because they need to gain a little fat and they're not grazing as much. So we want to get a little fat on them to keep them warm. But we're really specific. We have for our big pigs that we have a custom made grain for us, an organic grain, and our potbelly grain is also an organic grain.
Nice.
It's not custom made for us, but it is custom made for potbellies, and so we will eventually have a potbelly food that is custom made for us as well.
Awesome. And I know you have like a lot of watermelon parties or like fruit parties and like people sponsor a different party or like a different fruit party and things like that. So that's obviously like a treat, and also I'm sure that goes to according to their activity level,
The big pigs, we do the watermelon parties for the big pigs, and they get produce parties because they can handle a lot more food. They're grazing. They can sleep up to 18 hours a day, but if they're up for those extra 6 hours, they are. Hi, Princess. They are. I'm sorry, Princess came around to say hi.
Oh, Princess wants to say hello. Yeah. She wants to be on the podcast.
She does, baby girl. Where are you going? We don't feed them too much, and like today I looked at everybody. It's August, and there's only 2 seasons in rescue, and there's either winter or getting ready for winter. So we've been getting ready for winter since last winter. So looking at the big pigs, I'm like, okay, I want to get them a little chubbier for winter. So I decided to increase their food today. So it's very, very specific to my eye, and like saying, okay, they can use a little more meat on the bone to make sure that they're nice and warm for winter. But it's really we take nutrition incredibly serious with these guys. A lot of the pigs get supplements. We do a lot of really good stuff with glucosamine. We do a ton of CBD oil, turmeric, A lot of really great stuff to reduce inflammation with our old guys with arthritis. So we do a lot of research and a lot of comparing to other really good sanctuaries out there. It's great because we're at a little network with a lot of really good sanctuaries, and so we like to compare notes and what works for each other and what doesn't work for each other.
And some of the pigs even get massages, right?
Well, yeah, I went to massage school for 2 years, recreational therapy. So I do physical therapy and massage on the pigs a lot. I do range of motion, stretching, passive stretching, active stretching, and range of motion on them. With Ella Bean Cornell, had me pick her up early because they felt that I could do more physical therapy than they can do. So they said I was better at it than them. So I should pick that up and I should do range of motion, everything on her.
I always tell Jamie that if I spend a month with you and you did my therapy and I walked around as much as the pig said, I'd be walking and running by I'd be walking and running by next fall. So
well, people want me opening up like a little overweight camp for people too. I'm like, I'm terrible. I don't use the same philosophy which I should for myself. I don't take care of myself as much as I take care of the pigs, and hopefully I will one day. But people are like, can you open up a people weight loss camp? I'm like, the pigs can't have access. They can't access the food, so it's really easy to restrict the food. I don't want to get beat up by a person wanting an extra snack.
Yeah. Oh gosh, that'd be funny. So. Oh, yeah. But I know you were talking about this in the future about having maybe like a little community or an Arthur Sagers community, like tiny houses, or is that something you're just saying in live and like just?
No, we have a couple spaces on the property, that we're looking at. Unfortunately, the barn took way longer than it was supposed to because we had two projects this summer that was supposed to be fencing in the woods, and the wood got so expensive because of COVID, and then building tiny houses so people can come stay. But unfortunately, both got sidetracked because the length and the time it took the barn, and COVID really screwed us up with wood prices. So we'd like to have that back on track for next summer and have a couple tiny houses on site so people can come, because I go on live every day. We fundraise a lot, but it'd be nice just to have income coming in that we don't have to, unfortunately, beg for.
Yes. And my past history of job was fundraising, so I totally get it. I totally relate to you. I felt like every day I was begging for money. So.
Oh, it's exhausting, and I always I don't like to put just my hand out. That's why I go crazy on the lives and do the fun stuff like the pigs and do the raffle, like the pig shoot, and do the raffles so that people get something for the money. I'm just not sticking my hand out and saying, give me. I want to make sure people are getting something for their money. I go live. I am live like 6 hours a week. Like that's like a freaking talk show host every night that goes live. It's like, it really is. I'm like, what the hell am I doing? Like after I do it, I'm like, because I'm really too tired. And the funny thing is, because I'll be like, I'm really too tired to go live today. And then I sit down for 5 minutes. I'm like, screw it. I got to go live. I feel bad.
I got to go live. Yeah.
And those are my best lives. The greatest stuff happens because I don't plan anything. Like nothing is planned. And those end up being my greatest lives because I'm just like so tired. And then someone says something. So, the first time I jumped in the wallow, I was by the wallow and I remember it clearly because someone's like, I'll give you $50 to go hug Carl. I'm like, I'll hug Carl all day.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, you got to jump in the wallow. So I said, what? And then someone was like, I'll give you $100. And then someone was like, I'll give you 50, 20. They went crazy. And I think we raised like $2,500 in a half hour because people want to see me jump in. So it gives me a venue to educate people about veganism, and it gives people an escape from their normal life. And so I'm not just sticking out my hand. I'm educating and giving people a little bit of entertainment, and people will be at work and they're listening with the volume low or something like that. It's really funny. Yeah. Because I get all sorts of messages like, oh, I just took a break from work. I'm in the bathroom or something watching it. I'm like,
oh, that's awesome. And how big is King Carl?
950 pounds.
And 950. I was trying to tell Jimmy that about King Carl, but I didn't know how big he was. So. Jimmy,
he's 950. He's a big boy.
Wow.
He's probably 7 feet long.
Get out of here.
Yeah, we had a bad contractor that restored our old barn that burned down, and we did we did specifications for, doggy doors, big doggy doors.
I would
And we set
imagine.
it for 40 inches high, and he did it at 36 inches high. So King Carl would basically rub his back. He actually enjoyed it because he did it like a back scratcher. He'd keep walking forward and backwards in it.
Oh, gosh.
Because but we had to put new rails and adjust it because it was set too small for him. So he's about 40 inches high.
Wow.
Wow.
Can I ask you a question about your barn?
My what?
About the barn itself.
Sure.
Erin was saying that you bought this farm from another farmer, naturally, and they were using it like a slaughterhouse or something.
Yeah, it was like a backyard. It was a backyard butcher. So he was slaughtering animals. You'd come on the property, you'd pick your animals, and then they would kill it for you.
And that's where you were keeping the pigs in that area.
It was the whole place. Yeah, I mean the barn we redid was a 20 by 40 run-in shed that we turned into a big beautiful barn. We expanded it and made it beautiful. But it's also, so you also want to take a land that's been diseased and horrible things there, and you want to turn it around so it has a better energy. We had tons of people come here and cleanse the energy with sage and stuff like that. But
Right.
we took a place that was really a place of suffering into a place of rescue,
Well, I was just saying to Erin before we came on that when she was telling me about the barn burning, I said that could be divine intervention. That it did.
Well,
burn
I
down.
have to be honest. Like, we are able to build the state-of-the-art barn right now, and it was only from donations. Our insurance really didn't cover a lot, but and we are having a state-of-the-art medical room where we can do surgery in there, and it's going to
Wow.
be awesome. Washer and dryer, bathroom, feed room, hayloft, like everything you can ever think of. Like most state-of-the-art pig barn that you can think of. But I would give it all back to have that barn because I have PTSD. If I smell some sort of smoke, my brain goes like haywire. I have such PTSD, and I don't use that word lightly because people use that word lightly. I am talking legitimate PTSD.
Oh, I can imagine.
Someone knocked on the door at 9:00 at night. I worked hard, so I was sleeping at 9:00 at night, banging like your barn's on fire. And then I was down there, and I was with the hose and doing all this stuff. I had smoke inhalation. They want to take me to the hospital. I wouldn't allow them to take me to the hospital. I'm trying to make the barn not burn down. So that night was one of the worst nights, if not the worst night of my life. And then, trying to get the animals out, the other barn, because that barn was burning too. And then the night after it happened, Tod too didn't know, wasn't around. He heard it happen. He was living at home. And for some reason, he decided to walk to the farm at 4 a.m. and bang on the door. And a couple of people were staying here because, they didn't want me to be alone. And I had a nervous breakdown because I thought the barn was burning again. So I literally opened the door, and then collapsed on the ground crying like uncontrollably because I thought the barn was burning down again.
Oh, gosh.
Believe me, I wasn't knocking you. I was just saying that.
Oh, no, I didn't take it that way at all.
No, I'm just saying that think. I was thinking like the pigs. You take an orphanage where terrible things used to happen, and then you're thankful to be away from the terrible situation you were in. But the residual stuff that could, you know what I'm saying? Like being
no,
in a place...
and like we've had a lot of divine interventions with that. So we named the barn the Phoenix Barn.
Cool.
Our contractor that was supposed to get the foundation ready backed out a week before the barn was being delivered.
Nice.
So I was about to lose my SHIT.
Yeah.
And I went to ShopRite, and I was sitting there like frustrated because he just called me. And I look up at ShopRite, that's our food store.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a truck, a big white truck with a bulldog barking out of it that said Phoenix Excavating. I'm like, shit. I'm like, I'm just going to ask. So I said, I'm like, hey, brother, I got a question. I got a problem. And I'm like, we got to get this foundation ready in a week. Our contractor backed out. He's like, let me talk to my dad. He's my partner. I'll send him over. He was here in an hour. So that's Phoenix Excavating. And then we were talking. We hit it off right away. And his arms were all burned and his chest was all burned because of a fire.
Wow.
Oh.
And he named his excavating company Phoenix because of his burn situation.
Yes.
And he's been like our godfather ever since. And he takes care of a lot of stuff for us. I mean, he we pay him and everything, but he really does really good things for us and goes above and beyond. And, if I need help doing something that he doesn't do, he contacts them for me. He's like, let me just take care of it. He comes to the farm almost weekly just to check on everything, and he's become like a godfather. So there's a lot of things that happen for a reason. There's divine intervention,
Exactly.
and I believe that we were meant to meet.
Exactly.
Yes.
Like they say, when one door closes, two more open.
Yeah. When they're
Yeah, so
There's a reason for everything.
No, definitely. And his name's Dan, and Dan Jr. is his son. And I talk to him every couple of days. I talked to him today. His son's birthday was yesterday. We talked yesterday. Bring their families by all the time. And he's always doing work here. And he leaves like equipment here because he knows it's like, we're just like family already.
Yeah, it's like they'll be saved there.
If you think about it, if you can send his information over to Erin as well, we'll add his information into the show notes as well.
He can't even take on another job.
Oh, okay.
He is so book solid. I don't even think he'd want it. He's so busy up here.
Okay, well.
No, it'd be great, but he is book solid.
Well,
like
that's
book,
good.
Book.
God bless him.
No, definitely. He's got a lot of work. It's a good thing. He does good work, so people rely on him.
Well, good for him then.
Awesome.
But
I know, right?
That's a really good story to hear. It's nice to hear that for a change, where somebody
No, I
steps
appreciate
in.
that. No, he's really good to us, and he's funny because it's like he just says, "Okay, I'm just going to do it," and he shows up, and all of a sudden he'll have like 20 people here doing work, and we get it billed, but he's really kind to us, and we trust him, and he's a good man.
That's a good thing. That's a good thing, especially when you can trust them. That's a big thing in today's
definitely.
society.
I can trust him. No, definitely, because you're right. It's hard to trust people.
Exactly.
Yes. Yeah. So how are we doing on time, Jimmy?
You've got 4 more minutes before Todd has to go to work.
Okay. So Todd, what would you love? What message? What I'm putting you on the spot. What inspiring message do you want us all to think of after today?
Okay, you ready for this one?
I'm ready.
It's going to be deep.
Yep.
Are you sure? Are you sitting down?
I'm all sitting down.
I know. I was
Ask
kidding.
her if she's standing up.
I'm kidding. Yeah, I you know me. I was joking around.
Okay, you ready? Go vegan.
Yeah.
It's really easy, and nothing should have to suffer for you to exist. It's not worth it. Go vegan. Think about it. Like, really, it's easier than you think. It would end a lot of the world's problems, and it's just necessary. It really is necessary for us to continue on as a society. And I think it's not as like if you said it 20 years ago, it's not as outlandish as it once seemed. It's really getting more and more mainstream. And so I think you're going to find more and more people going vegan, and the world will follow. I think Richard Branson said the world will be vegan by 2040, I believe.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Yeah, so that'd be really awesome. That's just the big thing. I'd love to have this big monumental phrase or statement, but for me, it's just to go vegan and do the best you can do. You can start out by having, cutting out one meal with meat a day, then 1 day a week, then 2 days a week, then weekends. And if you go slowly and maybe everybody will go vegan. And there's so many resources out there about veganism that there's no reason not to.
Okay, awesome.
Great.
Thank you. So we will let you go because I know you've got to go to work. So, but thank you so much.
Thank you.
And
Very welcome.
I
I'll
so
talk to
appreciate
you
it.
very soon.
Todd,
and I'm still hoping to come out and visit. So, but
Well, we'd love to have you.
you're an awesome guy, Todd. You do a great job up there.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Peace, love, and pigs.
Take care, buddy.
Bye-bye.
I'd like to thank Tod Friedman for being on with us today, and I'd like to thank Erin Fernandez for setting this all up and doing the interview. Hey, I want to let you know, guys, if you have someone you want us to interview, someone you can suggest, please let us know. Somebody you want to hear us interview, let us know. Or even better, do you want to come on the podcast? Maybe you have a differing view of something that we've said or something someone who's been on the podcast said. You want to give a differing view, or maybe you want to agree with them? Hey, contact us. You can contact us at admin@famousapple.com, or you can direct messenger us on either one of the Facebook pages. Just go on the Facebook page, either that vegan disabled gal or living with a disability, and direct messenger us, and we'll get back to you right away. We're willing to put you on the podcast as long as you have something to say. Now, the only thing that we won't do, we won't tolerate on the podcast or on either one of the pages, is vulgar language or argumentative language. We're not a fist fight here. We're not a gang war. We're up for discussion. We'll do discussions, but we won't take on this militia type thing. We're not going to argue with people. But you want to discuss your views? Hey, we're open to discussion, that's for sure. But I want to thank you all for being here, because without you, there'd be no podcast, there'd be no message boards, there'd be no nothing. So thank you very much. And I just want to remind you, we said it in the podcast today, remember this: when one door closes, two more open. So don't think it's the end of the world because you became disabled. You're not dead. So a door closed on you, but two more opened. It's up to you to find those two doors. Now I'm going to give you some homework. You can answer it on Erin's page. You can answer it on the Living with a Disability page. What two doors opened for you after you became disabled? We're curious. So share that with us. Hey, thanks for being here today. And I want you to look up for the Living with a Disability podcast this weekend, because we're answering an email that we received. Every so often we get the same type of email when those notices come out from Social Security and they're reviewing to see if you're still disabled. People get nervous when those reviews come out. So I've got answers for you. How you get approved for disability, Social Security disability, but also what can knock you off of Social Security disability. You'd be surprised, because here's the thing. When you start receiving Social Security disability, it's not a guaranteed paycheck. It's not guaranteed for life. Things change. People get better, and some people get cocky. We're going to discuss that this week on An Apple a Day Living with a Disability. And you're not going to want to miss it, because I've got the information directly from Social Security. And here's one other tidbit you might not know. It's not just those little Social Security buildings that check you out, that check out to see if your claims are legitimate. There's a whole other force involved. So you're going to want to check this out, this podcast this weekend. Make sure you're there, okay? Hey, listen, have a great day. Enjoy the weather. And we'll talk to you real soon. You've been listening to An Apple a Day. This is the Vegan Possibility Podcast. And I'm your host, Jimmy Apple. Have a good one, my friends. Talk to you soon.
Thanks for listening to An Apple a Day with Jimmy Apple, your gateway to a happy, healthy life. Join our community at www.famousapple.com. See you next time.